A September Wall Street Journal poll shows 70% of Americans think race is a major problem in this country, particularly following the Charlottesville protests. Here's a breakdown. 28% of the people view race relations as very bad here in this country, while 42% said it was fairly bad. And then there were those who had their heads in the highest cloud. 26% of those lilliputians said when it comes to race in this country, it's simply a wonderful world. Well, let's have that conversation that leaves many of you a bit uncomfortable and slight squirming in your seats. Just how bad is race relations in this country and what's causing it? Joining us now is Dr. Robert Muhammad with the Nation of Islam here in the city of Houston, and a talk show host, Connect the Dots. Also, attorney Charles Adams, also a talk show host here in the city of Houston. Let's begin with you, Dr. Muhammad. When you hear a story like Ms. Singleton, are you surprised at all?
I'm not surprised. It's becoming increasingly evident that an atmosphere and environment is being set up where people can actually act out what they have been afraid to do under the guise of political correctness.
So political correctness apparently is out the window now. And what do you think is promoting this? What do you think is causing this in this country?
Well, you know, there's an old Sicilian saying that the fish always rots from the head down. So it begins with our leadership and the tone that they set. And it sets these others loose to feel that they have a license to do what they have heretofore been afraid to do.
Charles Adams, is this coming from the top? When we're talking about the top, we mean the president, President Trump. Is he making the atmosphere okay for racism in 2017?
I think President Trump during the election made some ignorant comments, especially about Judge Curiel and Hispanic people. But the suggestion that he's somehow, what happened to Ms. Stevenson, that's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. It's disgusting, it's despicable. It happens across the nation every day, not with a racial motivation. But with all respect, you know, I had a member of the Nation of Islam on a radio show last week, and the whole discussion was race. And when you use race as a vehicle to divide, not unite, we're not going to get anywhere. And the fact is, we don't get to the post-racial America when the left is using identity politics to try to gain ground. It's not Trump being racist, it's the media and the left having decided that this is the issue to capitalize on. We don't get to, you know, Obama offered this hope of this post-racial America and then spent 8 years talking about race. We don't get to post-racial until we rear view it, until we start treating everyone the same by interacting and by unity. And if we keep dividing ourselves in boxes, you know, former President Bush had a great point that we look at people that are homogenous to us and think of their best self, but we look at someone that doesn't look like us at their worst.
Dr. Muhammad, let's bring you into this. Are we even close to getting past this, and is it the fault of the media and those who may be on the so-called left or liberals?
With all due respect to Charles, this Constitution, we're in the 230th year since the Constitution was signed on September 17, 1787, and we've been racially divided ever since then. And the lowest depths of hell are actually reserved for hypocrites. So we can't say in the Declaration of Independence that we hold these truths to be self-evident, all men are created equal, while we still had millions of people in chains. We can't have a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. 14th,
if you're just going to be dishonest, there's not millions of people in chains.
There were millions of people in chains at the time of the Declaration of Independence,
and
there was millions of people in
chains.
And there was millions of people in chains when this Constitution was signed by Freddie Mercury.
We're a unified America today.
Wait. Okay, so again, right now, we've gone from 500,000 people incarcerated to nearly 2 million. We're 5% of the world's population, we're 25% of the jail population because of the so-called war on drugs, which is only an extension of the 13th Amendment, which simply says to us that if we commit a crime, then we can be re-enslaved. It's what the 13th Amendment says.
I agree wholeheartedly. The war on drugs has disparately impacted the African-American community.
Okay.
It's an atrocity and it needs to end. But it's not defined by this racism in America that's every day. It's an imperfect system that needs to be fixed. But this constant lie that we're all, I agree, we need to end the war. Why didn't Obama end it? We had an African-American president that had the opportunity to end the war on drugs.
Right?
He did not. He actually ramped up marijuana enforcement. We need to end the war on drugs. We need more liberty in America. But to suggest that there is people in change, slavery was this horrible institution. Every year America gets better, and we keep pretending that it doesn't.
I'm not. I'm not going to.
The Nation of Islam preaches racial divide. We don't need racial. We need unity.
We preach truth.
No, separation of the races.
Let Dr. Muhammad go now.
We preach the truth. What it is that we don't like the mirror. The mirror that's held up in America, we don't like it. Now, if we can get freedom, justice, and equality within the social, political, and economic system of America, then we'll do it. But if we can't, then we've got to ask for the same thing that the founding fathers of this country and the founding fathers of Texas asked for us to have a state or territory of our own. That's ultimately 228 years is going to take us to close the racial gap, and we've been waiting 230 years to get justice under this document.
Skin color is merely an organ that was defined by our ancestors' proximity to the equator. We're all the same people under the skin. And the Nation of Islam's suggestion that we need to be separated by race is anti-American, and it threatens the whole concept of American exceptionalism. We need to be together.
Racism is American as apple pie,
No, it's not. And that's the lie that you monetize. That's how you raise
Chevy,
funds.
Ford, and apple pie.
We need to be
Racism
together. We
is
need to spend time with everyone constantly, and we need to rear view race. We need to rear view the concept of race because we're all the same people under the skin. And the Nation of Islam preaches that we're different. And we're not different. We're the same people.
But we need way more time than just this.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on The Factor Uncensored.